Okay, good evening and welcome to Just Daf It, Daf Yomi led by the one only Ben Sion Lang. Here we're learning Yevamos Daf Samach Aleph 61. I believe this is exactly halfway through Masech Yevamos. So if you want to put a reminder that Yevamos is only 61 block away from being completed, put in a reminder in your phone. Only have another 2 months. It was torture. I'm joking. The other one was not so bad. The second half is not so bad. It's much easier than the first half. A lot easier than the first half. A lot more enjoyable in the first half. You're probably scratching your head on the first half. What the heck is going on over here? Yibum, Chalitza, these things even apply. What are these things? I didn't know this was part of the Torah. Some people are probably wondering, which Torah is this one? This is the New Testament? No, it's actually part of the Old Testament. There's actually Yibum and Chalitza. A lot of the cases kind of scarce. It doesn't happen too often. 10 brothers married to 10 sisters. I mean, it doesn't usually happen. But here we are. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Mitzvah Puravu, which is very relevant to everybody out there. There's a mitzvah to procreate, to have a son and a daughter, according to accept the halachic opinion. So that you're not going to want to miss. You're not going to want to talk. We're not going to want to miss that. And tonight we're going to wrap up the discussion about Kohen Gadol marrying an almana, marrying a widow, marrying one who's not a psula. In Iyam Ben Sion, we're going to reiterate one of the points that I've made before that came up earlier in the Masechta about an almana marrying a Kohen Gadol. It's a Gzeira Bia. He can't marry, he can't do Yibum with almana. Even Mina Erison, the Gemara says, because Gzeira Bia Shnia to be a Rishona to be a Shnia, because he might come to a second Bia, which is problematic. Why is second Bia problematic? We'll discuss that in Ben Sion. Let's get started. There's not much time left here in Israel. It's 11:15 at night. I give 4 shiurim every day. It makes it kind of hectic on Motzei Shabbos. Daf Yomi is schedule is relentless. And I'm starting 11:15 the shiurim now. I have to give Daf Yomi shir and Ian on Daf Yomi, Mishnah Yomi, and then an Ian on Mishnah Yomi. Whew. And also, I want to tell you about something interesting. Tomorrow we're going to be starting a new cycle. I'm actually starting a new cycle of Limud Torah. We're learning Shulchan Aruch Yomi. We're going to be going through the entire Shulchan Aruch, starting from Aruch Chaim, which is practical laws, Even Ezer, laws of Seder Nashim. We're learning now Choshen Mishpat Din Yevamos, which we'll learn Nezikin, Seder Nezikin after this, and then Yoredeya, which talks about Pasur Challah, of course. You're gonna become a rabbi, you gotta learn that. So you gotta know what happens if the milk falls into a huge pot of cholent on Shabbos. Some people actually, Bachram and Yeshiva actually mix milk into their cholent. It's a new trend, I think. It tastes better like that, right? It's like ketchup, but milk. No, of course not the dairy milk. I don't know. It's the soy milk. The soy milk. You think I would tell you the Bachram are not keeping the Torah? No, no, no. They mix the soy milk in. I'm joking. All right. Anyway, so it's a new cycle. You might want to join. We're going to be doing a siman a day, siman of Shulchan Aruch. There are today I counted during davening, in the middle of Musaf, 1,703 simanim in Shulchan Aruch. We're not going to be doing it every day because personally I don't have the time to do it on Friday and Motzei Shabbos. So we're doing it 5 days out of every 7 days. If you do that 5 days out of every 7 days for a year, that would amount to around 250 days a year. 250 days times it would approximately about 6.5 years it will take to finish this cycle, which is somewhere between Mishnah Yomi cycle and Daf Yomi cycle, 6.5 years in that ballpark. So if you stick with us, we're starting tomorrow. First siman Aruch Chaim, we're at the practical laws. I really can see this taking you off. I'm just going to read the Shulchan Aruch inside, basically, and I'm going to personally learn beforehand Torah, Shulchan Aruch, whatever necessary from the Gemaras, Mishnah Brura. I'll give you a summary of all the relevant halachas. This is supposed to be halacha l'maisa. Of course, I'm not a rabbi. I can't give you a final psak, but I can give you a basic idea of what the halacha should be. which you can take to your rabbi and ask him the shaila with this knowledge of what it is. And some things are pretty clear. The Mishnah Berurah actually is a psak halacha. I'll tell you the psak halacha if you didn't know it. So you could use that. You don't have to ask a rabbi on everything. You only have to ask him on things which are unclear in the halacha. Then you probably want to ask a rabbi for psak halacha. All right, let's get started. The bottom of Samach Hamad Beis here. 4 lines from the bottom. Ahu kahana de insig gioris pusim b'shal sham yamecha. We learned yesterday that Shimon holds that you can marry a gioris, a convert, if she converted when she was less than 3 years old in one day. She wasn't really a bia. The bia is not considered a bia, even if she was nevelas to an oved kachavim, to a non-Jew. He actually followed through on this, Rav Kahana. Amalei Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, my high. He said, "What's going on here? Amalei, what are you doing?" Amalei, Amar Rabbi Yaakov Ridi, Amar Rabbi Shimon Levi, Allah Rabbi Shimon Yochai. He said, Allah Chafal Shimon Yochai, Shimon Yochai, Meron, Lag BaOmer. We go to his kever, right? He wrote the whole Zohar. He also says the same Rabbi Shimon Yochai says you can marry a gior. You're a Kohen, you can marry a gior as long as you're converted under the age of 3. Did you know that? Amarle, he wasn't too happy about it. Zil Afik, go divorce her. You think divorce her. Below Mafikna Lach or Yaakov Ridi Unchal. Take the teaching or Yaakov Ridi out of your ear. Sounds like Mepharshim say he'll excommunicate him. It's pretty severe. I guess he didn't hold like Rabbi Shimon. And the Gemara quotes another leniency of Rabbi Shimon Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Yochai, he was machmir a lot of things, a lot of kedusha, but he also had some kulos. Omer, top of Samachal and Aleph, Kivrei of the Chavadim and Tam Ba'ol. This is a very, it's a very known halacha. People talk about this. They say that the graves of non-Jews, they can't be Matam Ba'ol, meaning you're under the same roof as a dead corpse of a non-Jew. It's not Matam you. It says ramifications. My father always likes to say. I think they built. They say that when time Mashiach comes, Eliyahu Navi is going to come through. I don't know, through one of the passageways from the east to the Beis HaMikdash. The east is present day in East Jerusalem, which is predominantly occupied by Arabs. And my father says they bury their dead there, so he was a Kohen, Eliyahu Navi, I think. So he couldn't pass. He can't pass through there. So even when Mashiach comes, Eliyahu Navi can't go there. Because, but they don't know. My father says they don't know the halacha. Is that a Kohen? That nobody comes out time. Oh, that is the opinion of who Rav Shimon Yochai. But the Rabbanan actually do argue, and the Rabbanan argue. It's not clear who we pass like. It seems that we do pass like Rav Shimon Yochai for this. That we're Mekel, they're not Matam Ba'ol. What's his raya? Shnemar Baten Sonai Son Marisi Adam Atem. Hashem says to Klal Yisrael, he says, "You're my flock of sheep. You are people. Atem Kriyan Adam Enov Dekam Kriyan Adam." The Gemara Darshans, you are called people, but Goyim are not called people. And Pasuk, which talks about Oel, it says Adam Ki Amos Ba'Oel, a corpse in Parshas Para. Adam, a person dies in an Oel. Under a tent, he can transmit tumah even without touching it or carrying the corpse. So it says, Adam Shisha Asar Elef. It says when they were fighting Midian, the people that died, 16,000 Adam died. And it wasn't the Jews who died, it was the Minyanim. They were non-Jewish. He calls them Adam. Whereas Mishum Behema. They really shouldn't have been called Adam, just because it mentioned the pasuk also that animals died. So compared to animals, they're called Adam. But really, compared to other human beings, other Jews are not considered Adam. Asher yesh l'gemar persists. Asher yesh bahar b'mishtei mesrei ribo Adam. Asher yoda v'yimino l'smolo. By Nineveh, the story of Yonah. Hashem says to Yonah, he says there's 120,000 people. They don't know the difference between the right hand and the left hand. It calls them Adam. Again, the Gemara answers the Mishum Behema because another pasuk also talks about Behema. So the Goyim are called Adam in distinction from Behema, but animals. But compared to Jews, they wouldn't be called Adam. Kol horig nefesh kol nageh b'chal tizchatal. The Gemara persists. Pasuk says anyone who touches a dead person, touches a sword, touch a dead person should cleanse himself. Smart says, Dimel Iktil Chad Mi Yisrael. That pasuk is talking about maybe the reason they have to cleanse themselves, they purify themselves, because maybe there was one Jewish person who they touched his corpse. So the Rabbanan, what did the Rabbanan do about that pasuk? Lo nifkad mimenu ish. They said when they reported back to Moshe what happened with the war with Midian, they said no one died, no Jew died. So therefore there was a proof in the pasuk. It wasn't none of the people who dead. The corpses were Jewish. Rabbi Shimon Yochai lo nifkad mimenu ish la aveira. All the Klal Yisrael, they meant to report them. There were Jews that actually died in the war. None of them gave into that aveira of taking a non-Jewish woman as their wife. Without, I guess, doing Yefas Torah, the process. Ravina gives different answers. He did them meitinu kravam me'atmuye ba'olel dichsiv adam kimas ba'olel mimagal masa mimatinu krav. The pasuk says that anyone who touched the corpse has to purify themselves. That's touching. All the Torah, according to Rishon Yochai, is saying that they're not talking about ba'olel, meaning if you're on the same tent, the same roof as a non-Jew, it's not matami. But if you touch a corpse of a non-Jew, you are makabel tumas hames, and you become an avatuma, and you have to go to the mikvah. Mishnah says, Ires as a halmana v'nisman aliyos kohen gadol yichnos. Let's say he got engaged to an almana, a regular kohen, right? He's allowed to marry an almana, and then while he was engaged to her, he became appointed to Kohen Gadol. So he can yichnos, the Mishnah Paskins, we'll learn why in the Gemara, that he can finish off, he can get married to her. Even though the Torah prohibits a Kohen from getting married to an almana. There was an incident. Shub ben Gamla was Mekadesh, a woman, Marsha Bas Baisus. I think she's talking about the enemies of the Sukkah. Manu Melech Lios Kohen Gadol. The king appointed him. The king was Yanai Melech, not the biggest tzaddikim, appointed him to be the Kohen Gadol, the Kinsa. And he, after becoming Kohen Gadol, he followed through on this. The support basically said before, right? He was Kohen Gadol now, but he was engaged already to her, so therefore, even though she was an almana, you can marry her. But if you're a regular Kohen, and then you become appointed to Kohen Gadol, obviously also a maimer is yichnos. So your brother died as a regular Kohen, and then you've got appointed to be a Kohen Gadol. So you were Shomer as Yavam. She's waiting for you to do a Chalitza or Yibam. So even if you did Maimer before you became appointed as Kohen Gadol, then you became appointed as Kohen Gadol, the halacha is you can't get married. We'll see why in the Gemara. You can't finish that off. You can't get married to her because the Isra of Almana would still apply because now you're a Kohen Gadol. Where it says, how do you know he can finish? He can proceed with the nisu and getting married to her. The next word isha. Why is it isha in the pasuk? To include someone else who really shouldn't be allowed to take it. There's one case you can take almana, meaning if you engaged as a regular kohen hedyot and then you got a point to become gadol. Why does the mission say that if she falls to in yibum and then you become a kohen gadol, you can't marry her? As far as the answer, the isha v'lo yevama. It says isha, a regular woman. A yevama is not a regular woman, so that excludes her. You can't proceed with nisuin if you become a kohen gadol. Ma'isa b'yeshua. So the word is a ma'isa b'yeshua ben gamla. Manua in nisman alo. Manua sounds like the king appointed him, but he wasn't completely unanimously approved by Beis Din and by the Sanhedrin. Amar Rav Yosef, Katir Kachazina Hacha. There was a conspiracy here. Amar Rav Asi, Tarkwa the Dinri Ailale Mars Bas Bais Liane Malka. This was talking about towards the end of Bayasheni, where Kohen Gadol became a bribe. You could become a Kohen Gadol with bribes. She gave him a big bribe to the king, Yanai Malka. He appointed the Kohen Gadol. Adamuki Leili Yoshev and Galam Bukani Rav until he appointed Kohen Gadol. She bribed him a lot of money until he finally accepted the amount of money to make Yoshev and Gamla, I guess, who was her husband, to make him the Kohen Gadol. So he ended up being able to marry her. All right, Mishnah says Kohen Gadol shemeis achav choliz v'lo miyavim. Kohen Gadol that his brother died. He has to do chalitza and can't do yibum. So the Gemara says kapatzik v'tani lo shaman erasim lo shaman nisuin. Says in all cases, right, Kohen Gadol, whether his brother was engaged to his wife or fully married to his wife, he can't do Yibam or Chalitza. He can't do Yibam. He has to do Chalitza. Bishlam minasu and Asev lo sasehu. Asev lo sasehu. If your brother was married to this woman before she felt the Yibam for you, so she was Ba'ula, she's not a Psula anymore. So not only besides the fact she's Almana, her husband died, she's also a Ba'ula, and there's an Isra essay, and Isra Los essay. If you learn. And the mitzvah of Yibam was not going to be Dochel Los essay, it's not strong enough. If he was only, your brother was only engaged to her, so therefore there was no bia, so there's no isra essay of psula. She's not. She is a psula. She's just an isra almana. So why can't you marry the essay? Even though there's an isra, Kohen Gadol can't marry an almana, but the essay of Yibam should be dochel los essay of almana. The Gemara famously gives its answer over here that you're right. The first bia is technically mutter when he does the yibum. He's in the kind of mitzvah of yibum. It's docha the isra of almana. But the second bia, there's still an isra, and there's no mitzvah of yibum. So the question I have over here is why is there no mitzvah? There's really, it's a two-part question. Why is there a mitzvah of yibum on the second bia? And do you need there to be a mitzvah once you kona her as your wife? She's your full wife. Once she's your full wife, there's no almana anymore. You're married to her. Once you're married to her, so she's not almana. There's no isra almana Kohen Gadol. You're married to her already. That's really the main question. So the Mishnah says we're going to answer that in Iyot Ben Sion. Don't want to miss that. Mishnah says Kohen Hedyo lo Yisa Islandus Elohim Ken Yesh lo Isha Ubonim. Kohen Hedyo. Kohen Hedyo shouldn't marry an islandess. He's not allowed to marry an islandess. Elohim Ken Yesh lo Isha Ubonim, unless he has either he has a wife, which he could have other children with, or he already has children. We'll see. It means tomorrow it means a boy and a girl from a different woman. We'll see why he can't marry. According to Yehuda says even if she has a wife or children, he still can't marry an islandess. We'll see why in the Gemara. She is zona amur Torah because the Kohen is not allowed to marry a zona, and she's called a zona according to her. We'll see why in the Yehuda gives his reason in the Gemara. Some say she's not called a zona, an islandess. An islandess is someone who doesn't develop the siman of a woman. Her voice is deep. She sounds like a man. She can't really have children. But some say she's not called a zona unless she's a convert, or she's a shivcha that was freed, or she had bilas new. She had a bila that was usher to her, either a lav or a kares. That makes her a zona. But an islandess is not a zona. Amalei Rish Gelus the Rav Huna. Rish Gelus is the Rav Huna. My time. What's the reason Tanakama says you can't marry an islandess? Mishum period of Yerivia. Right? Obviously, it's because he can't have children with her. That's why if he has children from a previous marriage or another wife, he could marry her. Period of Yerivia, Kohanim with the Mifkadi, Yisrael Mifkadi. Why is it single out Kohanim? The halacha should apply to a regular Yisrael also. They have to kind of prove also. Hamar lei mishum the kaboy and misna seifa. The reason it said Kohen is not for the Resha. That would include Yisrael also can't marry an islandess. Because the Sefer, even though he has children, he has another wife, lo yisa islandess, she's zona amur b'torah, da zona kohanim with the mifkadi Yisrael mifkadi. The Isra of zona only applies to kohanim, so therefore, since the Sefer we're talking about kohanim, so therefore, Reisha we also mentioned Kohen, even though it applied to Yisrael also. Shemach Yisani Kohen, Amar Rav Huna, my time with Rabbi Huda. What's the reason Rabbi Huda? The Chsiv, ichlu v'lo yispu, hiznu v'lo yifritzu. They'll eat. This is what said in Hosea. They'll eat and they won't be filled. They'll do znus, they'll do improper relations. They won't propagate, they won't have children. Kol bia she'ein ba pirza, any bia, any cohabitation that it's not going to lead to progeny. Ena ela bia znus. It's called znus. The Torah called it znus as long as it can't lead to propagation. It can't lead to having children. Tanya Lezer Omer Kohen Lisa es haktana. Now we're a new teacher. Lezer says a Kohen can't marry a minor. Investigate his teaching. The Orsa Baidar Huna Minach. Huna is going to test you on it. What's the reason behind his teaching? Nafak Ayinba. He went and he analyzed it. Went and he said, "Lezer Savalakari Meir Savalakari." He holds this teaching of Rabbi Lezer He holds both like Rabbi Meir and both like Rabbi Yehuda. Several like Rabbi Meir, the Chayish L'miyuta. Rabbi Meir is koshish for even for a miyut, meaning that this girl is going to turn out to be an islandess. Most girls don't turn out to be an islandess. Several like Rabbi Yehuda, Damar island is zona hiavya, and he also holds that an islandess would be a zona. A zona Cohen's allowed to marry her. Rabbi Meir, so the Meir is a Meir, misavarla. Does he hold like Rabbi Meir that she's an islandess? Tanya, they were worried Tana's gonna be an islandess. You know, a regular girl. She's a 5-year-old girl. You're worried she's gonna be an islandess. It doesn't happen too often. Tanya, does he hold like that? Katan Tanya lochotzav miyam divrei meir. You have a brisa which says if you're a minor or a minor girl, they can't do chalitza or yibam. Divrei meir. Meir says I'm a little bit meir. The chum said divrei meir. Yafa marcha in cholzin. It makes sense that they can't do a kata and Tanya can't do chalitza. Ish ksiva parsha. It says ish, a man is 13 years old. Makshin isha ish, right? It says isha and ish. So the isha by chalitza has to be like the ish, just like the ish has to be 13, the ish has to be 12. But my time, why can't they do yibam? Doesn't say ish by yibam. I'm like katan shema yim says sris. Katan, they're worried that he might end up being a man that's not able to have children. Katana shema timsa islandess shall be worried she's going to grow up to be someone who can't also produce children. Pogan be'erva. Again, if you do yibam without the ability to have a child in memory of your brother, so it's bilas nus. He argues on that in a brayz, in a different brayz. He says Aktana could do yibam, but she can't do chalitza. So chalitza we know she can't do because she's not called isha, or ish. But Aktana could do yibam. So you see, he's not worried. He's not kosher l'miyuta that she's going to be an islandess. Rabbi Yehuda misavar. It was even right about that he's saying Rabbi holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Atanya zona. What is the meaning of zona? We're gonna have 6 explanations of what it says. Lo yichal. This takes parsha. Kohen grusha b'chalala zona. He can't. Kohen can't marry zona. What is a zona? Zona kishma. Tanakam what a zona means kishma. Means she's bezana. Means she commits adultery. Only if she commits adultery. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer, as Rabbi Eliezer says. Akiva Omer Zona Zumuf Kesh. Akiva says Zona is someone who a harlot, is a prostitute. She's open to many men. Rabbi Yasif ben Charash Omer Afil Halach Baila Hashkuso Bala B'derech Hasa Zona. Even to do the smaller type of be a sister, meaning her husband warned her not to be secluded with a man. She didn't listen. She's secluded with a man. We don't know. She has to go to the basin of Gadol to find out if she is a sota. She drinks the main mara. So on the way, she's usher at this present stage. She's usher even to her husband. The husband, on their way there in the hotel, he's together with her. That makes her a zona, even though this is the slightest form of be a sister. Yehuda Omer zona zu islandess. Yehuda says a zona is an islandess, like we said before, because it can't produce children. Like we said in the Mishnah, hold it has to be someone who actually did a real ister, a lav or a karis. Or someone who we're worried there was mizana with a goy when she was a shifcha before she converted. Lezer holds even if they're not married, 2 unmarried people, Jewish kids, whatever, they're playing around, that makes sort of zona. We don't pass like this. We'll see at the end. Amar. So you see anyway, Rabbi Lezer does not like Rehuda. There's 2 opinions. Rabbi Lezer is 1 opinion. Rehuda is a 2nd opinion. So you see, Rehuda says islandess is a zona, and Rabbi Eliezer says no. He says only someone who commits adultery. So you see, he doesn't hold like Rabbi Yehuda. That's zona. How are we going to interpret this statement before that a Kohen can't marry a Ketana? So he says, we're not talking about regular Kohen. We're talking about Kohen Gadol. The Emas Kanila. When is he Kohen the woman? Look, he Gadla. He's Kohen a Ketana. If he's Makadish or when she's a Ketana, the Kedushin of a Ketana are worthless. He Gadla Bu'ulahi. When she becomes older and she agrees to marry him again, she's Bu'ula. And Kohen Gadol can't marry someone who's not a Psula. I'm a Rava, Machli Lev, you're destroying my heart. Either Kadsha, it doesn't make any sense what you're saying. Either Kadsha Avua, if she was a Kedusha Ketana, her father married her off when she was young. Mahi Shaita, who the Kanila, he was Kona her with the Kedushin when she's a Ketana. It was a real Kedushin. And therefore, when she becomes a Gadol, she's a Gedola, she was already married to him. So there's no Isser of Avula if you're already married to the Kohen Gadol. He's allowed to be Boel, his own wife. either Kadsha Nafsha, if she went ahead and was Magash herself without her father's authority as a Ketana, how Rabbi Lezer give her Rabbanan, it would only be Lezer's opinion. Even the Rabbanan would agree, Kedusha Ketana, if she Magash herself, it's worthless. It's worthless, so of course when she becomes a Gedola, she's a Bula, and it's also the Kohen. Why only Kohen Rabbi Lezer? Rabbi the Olam, Kohen head, Rabbi says, no, really talking about, Rabbi Lezer was talking about a Kohen head, regular Kohen. Chashin Hashem Tispat Elav. We're worried that she shouldn't marry a Ketana because a Ketana becomes seduced easily. She'll go and be with another man. Ihachi Yisrael Nami. So why only a Kohen? Yisrael also. We don't want her to be a woman that's going with different men. The reason is that if she's seduced by another man, so even if she's married to Yisrael, she's not going to become usher to her husband, because a Ketana becomes seduced. It's not really her fault. It's almost like she was raped. So therefore, she's mutter to Yisrael. But a Kohen, she's usher. Even an owner, the Asha's Kohen who's raped, she becomes usher to the Kohen. That's what we're worried about. Papa Omar, a different explanation. Kohen Gadol. Everybody's talking about a Kohen Gadol. Haitanu the Sani B'sula. It says in the Brayse of B'sula, Yachol by a Kohen Gadol. It says that he has to marry a B'sula. Yachol Ketana. You might think he can marry a B'sula who's a Ketana, who's a minor. Talmud Isha. So the Torah says he has to marry a woman. So therefore, you see in Israel in the Torah for a Kohen Gadol to marry a Ketana. Isha. If it says Isha Yachal Bagarish, you might think even one who's a Bagarish, she's older than 12 and a half. Talmud Basula, it says Basula. Hakisa Yatsa B'Kal Kadens B'Kal B'Lagros Basa. Basically, she's a Nara. She's someone 12 years, but not 12 and a half. That's the only one she's allowed to marry. This is the opinion of this Tana, and that's what the Lezer's opinion. Nachma Yitzchak Amar Haitana who Desani Basula Ein Basula Ela Nara. Basically, he says the same thing. There's another Brisa, another Tana, who says when he says the word Basula by Kohen Gadol, it means a Nara. The Chenu Omer, Manara Tovas Mara Maod Basula. It says by Rivka Imenu. It says she was very good looking and she was a Psula. It says in the same passage she's a Nara and a Psula. So you see that a Psula, when it says Psula by Kohen Gadol, it means a Nara. Ketana is not allowed to marry. It'll be an Esther in the Torah. Interesting halacha. So that's basically the end of this discussion. We return to this long Bryce, what we said before, the definition of a zona. Lezer says even an unmarried man who's together with an unmarried woman for his nus, just to have fun, he makes the woman a zona. So that's what he says. When she was on a zona, Lezer, just so you don't make a mistake and think that a woman who had fun when she was younger, she's Asher L'Kohen. She's not Asher L'Kohen. We don't poskin like that. Because nus does not make you a zona. She can marry a Kohen. Let's end this share for today. Stay tuned for Yom Ben Sion, where we'll discuss further via Xera via Shnia to be Rishona by Yibum. See you there.